Okay, and welcome to this Friday edition on the 21st of August of Link for Growth, Southwest Herts TV show. As usual, we've got a absolutely packed show. For once, I'm joined by not one or two people, but by five. This is unheard of. So hopefully you won't be seeing much of me, and they'll all be making masses of contributions. Neal's going to be reporting on the sports news and also talking about the Save the Red Line pub campaign. Catherine's got all the local news and charity and information. Tania's going to be talking about community, and there's a special reason for that, and we'll be going into that a bit later. This week's special guest is Francis Nwofor of DoJo. He's talking about a program of events that he's got planned for next week, using martial arts and self-development. Sounds dangerous, but I'm sure it isn't, and he'll tell us more later. And finally, Chris is at Luton Airport, and he's going to be talking about Link for Business, which of course we talked to Asif about last week. So, as usual, you can contact us on via Twitter at L4GSWHearts, at L4GSWHearts, as you can see beneath my name. And Catherine, you've got lots of local news for us, and you've also got restaurant review.
Indeed, yes, I have lots of local news, charity stuff. There's a few bits and pieces that I mentioned last week. I can mention again the charity things that are ongoing. There's a fantastic event happening in Casbury Park tomorrow, and lots of other things besides, and a review of a very local restaurant, which is lovely.
Great, great. And Neal, as usual, you've got all the sports news.
Yep, this week we'll be talking about last week's Watford result, which wasn't quite what I predicted, and a great start to the season by Kings Langley.
Okay, that sounds good. And Tania, it's been quite a year for you, but with the help of various communities, you've made a successful transition from a kind of land lover to boat lover.
That's right, Diane, absolutely, yes. About a year ago, on the 6th of August, I moved aboard a canal boat, and I knew nothing about it, and now I know quite a lot with the help of the community. So, yeah, I'm happy to talk about that later.
Okay, that's great. And this week's special guest, as I said earlier, is Francis Nwofor from DoJo. He's going to be talking about program events that are lined up for next week, and also about the DoJo organisation in general. Francis, welcome.
Hi, how you doing?
Fine, thanks.
Yes, so we're going to be talking about the DoJo and what its activity that it has lined up for next week, called Them Together as One. It's a Erasmus project which encompasses bringing youth from different European countries to participate in some self-development using martial arts in Watford, or in Hertfordshire.
Great, well, we can talk more about that a bit later on. And finally, Chris is at a place that's called Paradise, if you believe the old Campari advert, otherwise known as Luton Airport. Chris!
Yeah, hi there everyone. Yeah, I'm here at Luton Airport. Everyone's happy, they're all going away somewhere, they're leaving the country. It's obviously a good thing. I'm doing the same thing in about an hour and a half off to Budapest. So yeah, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about Link for Business, which launched this week, which was absolutely brilliant actually, and set the mind racing about all the possibilities. So I'll tell you a little bit about that later.
Okay, that's great. Well, what we're going to do first of all is talk about all the other Link for Growth activities that have happened in the past week or so. So on last Friday we had Yellow Comedy at Reason, again supported by Link for Growth. Once again, a fabulous night of comedy. Some of the acts were exceedingly funny. Some of them were slightly more inexperienced and therefore not quite as funny, perhaps, needed a little bit craft and refinement, but I think overall a fantastic night and a great night out with lots of jokes and everything. And they picked on you a bit, Catherine, didn't they?
I'm sorry, I wasn't listening. What did you say?
Oh.
I'm so sorry, I was reading my notes.
I said Yellow Comedy, they kind of picked on Nick and you.
Yes, yeah, well, and the lady in front. We won't go into what they were talking about with the lady in front because it's not necessarily family viewing. But yeah, it was good fun though. There was a nice bit of interaction with the audience throughout the evening. It was thoroughly enjoyable.
Good, good. And Chris, last Sunday there was a Southwest Herts breakfast meeting in the cafe on St Albans Road.
Yeah, this was a great event. You know, I really love these Sunday events. The Sunday breakfast is like just really good fun getting people out on a Sunday morning to have breakfast together. People who might otherwise be not have breakfast or just be alone eating breakfast. So it's really good to get that event up and running. And also the Sunday lunch is the same thing. It's like, it's just great because you get a different kind of audience. So brilliant fun.
Okay, that's great. And last night, as well as Sunday, I missed Chris, what's the lemon drizzle cake like at the kitchen? Lemon drizzle cake like at the kitchen?
Now that's something very special. And this week I was honoured because the lady who owns the kitchen actually created the lemon drizzle cake on behalf of the shop for me. So that was brilliant, and she did it proud.
Good. Well, maybe next week or next month you can try the orange drizzle cake or something like that.
No, I'm not going there.
Anyway, last night we had Lincoln Drinks in Watford. Numbers are slightly down than on usual, but I think that's to be expected to the long holidays and everything. But although the numbers were slightly down, there was still about 10 people who turned up. But again, there was lots of great conversation happening there with lots of interesting points being made and not made. And one or two new people joined and came along and found out more about the organisation at other points as well during the evening. So hopefully we'll see them back again. As previously mentioned, Chris is at Luton because he's off flying to Budapest. But I think you're doing a bit of plane spotting first, aren't you, Chris?
The plane spotting? No, I don't do plane spotting.
Oh, okay. And, I'm not sure about that. Anyway,
you didn't expect a long conversation about that, did you? Because you're not having one.
Anyway, really, why we got you on the show this week is to talk about ASIF and the Link for Business launch on Wednesday.
Yeah, so there were 26 people turned up, but it was the first one, so everyone can come and experience it for free. But 6 people subsequently have now subscribed to Link for Business. So actually, people were going out saying it was a really good event. They really enjoyed it, a bit different, and of course it is different. And the key message is that Link for Business is not just another business networking organisation. What Link for Business is what I would call the evolution of business networking, because what we're doing really is focusing on business as a very important component of community, but recognising that actually it's the engine room and everything comes from increasing the revenue that can go through the community, because that provides the funds to support local community projects. So it's a really important thing, and by supporting local business and getting the local businesses to kind of effectively act like a local business club, what they can do is they can learn about community projects through Link for Growth, and then they can start to participate because they'll know more about them. Local people will start to discover that there's a load of local business people doing great work in the community, and they'll start using those local businesses through the hashtag that we're using, which is L4G Buy Local. So it's got a really much bigger remit than just normal business networking, which is getting businesses together. This is getting businesses together with real intent, real purpose, which is about helping and doing their bit for rebuilding local community.
Yeah. And Asif was saying he couldn't have done it without your help and without Nicky's help. And I think a big thanks to both of you as well as to him for getting this initiative off the ground.
Absolutely. It takes a lot of effort to get something like this off the ground. We've got Link for Skills, we've got L4G TV, we've got the community events, we've got Link for Business, we've got the online forums. There's a lot of different aspects to Link for Growth, but there's no mean feat getting something started like this. And yes, I've written a lot of copy. Yes, Nicky's been chipping away at ASIF. This is the first time that ASIF has ever done anything on this magnitude. So, of course, he's a bit wet behind the ears. I don't suppose he'll mind me saying that. But he's learning loads and he's out of his comfort zone. But the only way through that, as Tania will tell you, is to push on through. Don't worry about the fear. Just do it anyway.
Just jump in and fight and hope you can swim.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it was a bit. He winged it a little bit in places, but it was the first one. He's learned his lessons. A lot of good feedback. Some feedback which he can take away and he can work on. But I think he'll be pleased with it, and onwards and upwards.
Yeah, but he was saying it's not just going to be launched in Arundel over the next month or two. It's also going to be launched in London and 1 or 2 other places. Have you got details?
Yeah, there's somebody's going to start one in Kettering, Northamptonshire. There's somebody talking about starting one down in London as well, and there's going to be one in Lincoln and one in hopefully in Bedfordshire. So there were no shortage of people saying that they would like to do one of these in their neck of the woods.
Okay, well that's great. So hopefully by the end of the year we'll have 5 or 6 different districts running Link for Business events.
Well, if you listen to Asif, he would be very disappointed with those kind of numbers. He's looking at 12 to 15. So.
Oh, okay. Well, that's fabulous. Let's cross our fingers and hope he succeeds.
No need to cross any fingers, as Tania will tell you. It's all about effort.
That's it, exactly. It's all about effort, and his growth happens at the edge of his comfort zone, exactly as you're saying. Brilliant. Yeah. Well done, Asif.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great. Okay. More from Chris a bit later, perhaps. You know,
I doubt it. I'm going to the bar, and then I'm catching a plane.
Oh, well, in that case, then we wish you bon voyage. And enjoy the duty free.
I will be reporting in from Budapest next week, so do spread the word about the show, because it'll hopefully, if people are interested in Budapest, they'll actually get a chance to see some of it, which would be great. Yeah, and you're also talking about table tennis in Budapest, aren't you? Yeah, if I can get the guy out of the competition he's playing in and get him into the street, it all depends if he loses early. If he loses early, he'll join me. If he doesn't lose early, I'll be on my own.
Okay, well, we look forward to seeing you next week either way.
Have a great show, guys.
Okay.
Cheers. Bye now.
Thanks, Chris. Have a great trip.
Thank you very much, and I will see you all very, very shortly. I'm sure it'll be far too quick. I've already had visions of being back at Luton, having enjoyed my trip, but anyway, I'll make the most of it, and I'll see you all next week.
Okay. As I mentioned at the top of the show, our guest today is Francis Nwofor of the DoJo. DoJo is an organisation which set up by martial arts instructors with the help of 3 overarching aims. And one is, the first being to identify social issues that cause disunity within a society. Secondly, to using the principles of philosophy and fundamentals of martial arts as a metaphor and tool for solving social concerns. And thirdly, to get the local youth involved in projects and tackling social issues. Their aim is to use martial arts as a bridge that connects across cultures, age and class, and it's more than just kicks and punches. I'm actually delighted to hear that. So, Francis, big week for you next week.
Hello, yes, a big group, and hopefully it will get bigger and bigger. And we have, I think, 48 different young people coming from across Europe. And the countries involved, we have a group coming from Croatia, Romania, Czech Republic, obviously the UK, Estonia, and Latvia. Have I missed anybody? And Greece, yeah. So they're all coming, ages between 14 to 30, because the European Union classifies it as youth. And they're going to come do some martial arts, but again, the martial arts is more, as you said, Diane, as a metaphor for self-exploration, for self-mastery, self-reflection, for communication. So they're going to learn about 5 different martial arts. When I say learn, they're rudiments, not the in-depth stuff. It's the rudiments, which will facilitate different things like cultural diversity, cultural mapping. They will learn, say, Kali, which is a Filipino martial art, from the point of view of emotional intelligence. They'll learn karate from a point of view of self-understanding and self-mastery. They'll learn some kickboxing from a point of view of de-stressing and handling diversity. And they'll learn Tai Chi with regards to self-meditation and self-reflection. So, I mean, the martial arts, like I said, is just there as an activity for them to do. But anchored within these activities are self-reflective dialogues or questions to think about. But the key thing for regards to this together as one, which is a European Union sponsored project, comes under the Erasmus Plus program, which encourages youth exchange. It's more for them to encourage social mixing, so to say. People from around Europe come together to live as one and understand that whether you're from the UK, Watford, Croatia, whatever, we are one people. and the best way to understand and respect different cultures is to.
Okay, so that's really good, and you've explained what's happening next week. But just to roll back, how did this idea and this concept of martial arts being able to help with personal development come about? Because at first sight, you think martial arts is all about, from a lay perspective, shall we say, it's all about bish bang, crash bang wallop sort of thing, and it's about aggression and violence, and not about discipline and personal development. How have you managed to marry those?
If you look at the fundamental ethos of martial arts, if we can say there are 3 levels within the martial arts, there's the physical aspects, there's the mental aspects, then the spirituality aspects of it. And the spirituality aspects is the highest level, and all the other the physical and the mental, is a guide to get you to self-awareness. So those that actually understand the concept of martial arts, you find that they are much more well-rounded. I will concede that there are those who just look at martial arts from their physical point of view and they tend to fight. But then, like all things, there are those that don't abuse it. But martial arts is, in its essence, is about self-development.
Yeah.
So
when you talk about self-development and self-awareness, are you sort of talking, if it was on the Maslow pyramid?
If it's a Maslow, you're looking at self-actualization.
Yeah.
It's self-actualization. So again, understand from that point of view, from a Maslow's triangle, if somebody comes into the martial art and they're weak, physically speaking, and they want to develop their confidence, say, okay, you build on that. And once they become stronger, we have a saying that if you engage the body, if the body becomes stronger, the mind becomes stronger. So once they're past that first level of, I want to get stronger physically, and they continue, and they are under the guidance of an instructor or a sensei or a master that understands that the martial arts is a journey and is a tool for self-development, then they can gradually progress to that self-actualization. And that should also impact in their lives. So it's not just about, oh, let me go to the gym or let me go to the dojo. It's about going to the dojo, learning principles that can impact your life, and then taking those principles and apply it. So if you're at university, apply it. If you're at work, apply it. If you're a grandmother, granddad, apply it. So it's a life journey, and it's a system that can, if utilized effectively and correctly, can be with you till you pass on, so to say.
So, how many people do you work with each year then?
Say again?
How many people do you work with each year in the dojo?
It depends. I mean, the dojo, we've been involved with the NCS, the program for the National Citizen Service Program, which is a UK program that engages young people in the UK between the age of 15 to 17, and it's like a national version of what I'm doing with the Erasmus Plus. So, I mean, I've tutored, in this year alone, or last year and this year alone, over 400 young people. I work with also adults. I work with kids. I teach. I go to schools and I teach martial arts. Again, depending on what age or which the age group, the focus changes. It could just be for them to get them to run up and down and enjoy themselves, or just be for discipline. So it varies. So I've been teaching martial arts since I was very young. So I understand the dynamics and the ethos of it. Also my background, because you asked me a question, how was I able to relate the various concepts? My training is I'm an academic, so I'm a lecturer by trade. So and I lecture in leadership, and I give talks in leadership. So the martial arts itself, again, when you look at the concept of leadership, you look at the martial arts dynamics, you see that an instructor, a good instructor, has influential leadership over his or her students. And the question is, how does that come about? And when you look at the concept of leadership, from transformational to the true leadership to the various dynamics, you find that the sensei somehow manages to effectively lead their students. And that has always been my question: what is the underlying thought process there? And when I looked into that, I categorized it and then just basically put together a training program whereby I would teach a bit of martial arts and extract the principle and then transfer it into academic content.
So how long has the dojo been running?
The dojo itself is a new organization set up 2 years ago. However, the processes and the content and the philosophy of the dojo has been going for the past 30 years.
Okay. Well, I think we'll leave it there for now. Good luck with next week.
I'm blessed.
Have some of your people coming on next week to review the course, so we can see if it actually lives up to your excellent words. But because of the background noise, it's becoming more difficult to hear you. So at that point, I think we'll cut it short for now, but we'll talk more next week. And
that's great.
we look forward to hearing some fine endorsements from your students.
Well, indeed. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.
Really looking forward to hearing that next week, Francis. Fabulous. Have fun.
Okay, bye-bye.
Okay. And so many thanks to Francis for telling us about the dojo and what he's doing next week with that Erasmus project. It sounds really exciting, really interesting, and quite novel, because you don't necessarily think of martial arts being married to leadership skills and stuff like that. But over the last 2 weeks, we've talked quite a lot about the Red Lion pub and the efforts to save it, starting off with Chris's interview with the local camera representative outside the pub 2 weeks ago. Then last week there was news of a group being formed and a meeting, and Tuesday evening we saw the meeting, and to save the Red Lion pub and to see how it can be turned into a community asset of some sort. Neal, who's a keen supporter of the programme to turn it into a community asset, was at this meeting on Tuesday, and Neal, perhaps you can give us some details, because it's also appeared on the front page of today's Watford Observer, hasn't it?
Yes, it has made the front page, which is great news. So a lot more people are now going to be aware of the campaign, because up to now it's pretty much just been an online and social media campaign. So it's great to get some physical press on it. So yeah, the meeting was very good. We basically had several councillors there attending, and they're all very supportive of keeping it a pub. It was overwhelmingly and unanimously agreed that we would fight to keep it as a pub, and it's what the locals want. So that was good. We've set up a steering committee to take it forward and look at into setting up a company so we can start the process of trying to purchase the pub. So things are moving forward very fast. Still waiting on the council's decision to turn whether it passes for a asset of community value. But we had some very encouraging noises from the councillors that the councillors themselves do consider it an asset of community value. So let's hope the officers involved come to the same decision.
So how does a building qualify to be a community asset building?
Basically, it's a historic building, which it is. It's a listed building. It's in a conservation area as well, so the outside wouldn't change, but they can change the inside use. Now, it's a pub that's been in for over 100 years, and when you look at that, many thousands of people know the pub or have used the pub in the past, especially Watford supporters. So it fulfills all the criteria. I haven't got the list of criteria in front of me, in fact, but we are very confident it does fulfil the list. We just need that in place so we can buy ourselves the time to raise the money to buy the pub.
Now the Francis Observer, I noticed, talks about a £1.1 million sum to purchase the pub or something, and it's going to be raised in 6 months. You know any more about that?
That was the initial asking price, which any of these things, that is always just a negotiation point. I think the current owner is just a businessman and a property speculator, and he wants to maximise his profit. With the asset of community value, it will make it very difficult for him to sell it to anyone else apart from a pub chain. So you can expect that price to come down quite sharply.
Okay, that's great. And we're going to be talking to you a bit later on about the sports news.
Yep, looking forward to that.
Okay, great. Well, we all talk about community and community building, but how many of us actually live in a proper community? some of you watching may be aware, in the past year, Tania has been living and enjoying life on a boat. As this month is the first anniversary of Tania's boat living, it seems like a great opportunity to discuss how a landlubber, I know it's an old joke, I like repeating it, can make a successful translation to a boat owner and resident with the help of various local organisations, and how that helps build a community. So, Tania, welcome.
Thank you very much, Diane. Thank you.
Yeah, and yeah, sort of 13 months ago, there you were with 4 walls and windows and a roof.
That's right.
And it was kind of fixed in one place. And of course, since then, you've gone through a massive learning curve, and I know that because you tell me about it all the time, and it's fascinating to hear. So perhaps you could start with start at the beginning of the story. How and why did you end up in a houseboat?
Okay, so yeah, it was a bit of a challenge, really. It was a bit of a relationship breakup, and selling the house that I had. I wasn't able to afford to buy a new house, and I'd have some capital left, so I thought, well, I've no idea what to do next. And it was a community discussion that got me into it. Our friend Debbie King, Cleaning's My Thing, from the Natural Home Clean Company, I was having a conversation with her. She's part of our network, one of the Link for Growth people, and she was telling me about her life, which had historically been on a boat, and I thought, there we go, that's it, that's my solution. I should buy a boat and live on a boat. I knew absolutely nothing about it. I'd been on a cross-channel ferry. That's probably about it. I think I'd been on an afternoon sailing trip where I was supposed to be learning to sail a boat with sails, and the water was too calm. So that was it. I had no previous intentions of living on a boat, no previous information or anything. So I thought, first things first, let me find out what sort of boat I want, and even finding where to buy a boat. I mean, even as broad as that, as fundamental as that was a bit of a challenge. So I went around the country looking at boats, and I have to say, even from that first moment of going and seeing strangers looking around their boats, it's not like going and seeing a house. It's much more personal than going to see a house when you're buying a house. You know, I know buying a house is very personal, and the people that are selling the house will tell you lots about the house. But the people that were selling boats, it was far more of a personal thing. The community on a boat is far tighter somehow, and far more open and far more engaging than you know. I knew all of my neighbours before, but this was somehow of a different spectrum. So anyway.
Okay. So having decided you were going to buy a boat and having looked around at the boat, how did you get the advice as to sort of say, well, this one's a runner and this one's a dud? And I mean, you can't, yeah. How do you metaphorically kick the tyres of a second-hand boat?
So looking at them first, and then choosing that actually Dignity, the boat that I live on, was the first one that I fell in love with. And Debbie King, that I mentioned earlier, came with me to look and see, well, she's not sinking and that sort of thing. And then actually have a survey done. Just like when you buy a house, you have a survey done, for which the boat has to be taken out of the water, and you've got to pay for it to be taken out of the water, and you pay for the survey, and etc., etc. And the survey came back and said, actually, this is not a boat in full working order. So when I finally moved aboard, it was like living in a tent on the water. But I'm pleased that one of the things that I found in my research was a lady called Jan who does day training courses. So I got my helmsman's license, which was a day's course in how to steer a boat and what the bits are, and you know where the engine sits and where the front is and where the back is, and it was as basic as that, a few knots, that sort of thing. from Jan Knox from Canal Experience, who's actually based just down in Hunton Bridge. A lovely lady, and she introduced me to people that actually run businesses on the canal. So there's a diesel boat that comes along and sells you diesel and fuel and gas and coal and that sort of thing. And there's a pump out man that comes along, which is a bit like sewerage pipes in a house. So she introduced me to that type of people, who are all so delightful, so lovely, genuine, down to earth, helpful people who have come along and helped in all sorts of ways. Whenever I've needed it, even to the extent that I rang Warren, the pump out man, up one day and said, "Warren, it's not working, it's not going anywhere," and he said, "Put it in reverse, that's it, really hard, in reverse, that'll do, you've got something caught on your prop," from the telephone. Just brilliant, fantastic help.
Yeah, and of course, because you're in this community, you feel you can call on these.
Yes, absolutely. So not only is it the community of people living on the boat, but I also, when I first moved aboard, as I say, the boat was in need of some repair work. So Marion Matthews and her husband John, that we both know from another community that we both belong to, they came and helped to get my electricity sorted, which helped me to get the boat up and running. But then I had a problem with actually steering her. To steer her, I had to, bit technical, but collapse the wheelhouse. So there's a wheelhouse, a tall bit at the back of my boat, and to go under bridges I had to be able to collapse that down. And when I first tried it, I'm afraid it fell apart a bit. So another member of our community, Matthew Bashford Hayes, the chef from Friday Biz, recommended a friend of his who would come and help me replace all of the hinges and build a system whereby I, on my own, although I haven't done it on my own yet, could collapse the wheelhouse. But until that point, I was sort of stuck on the side of the canal, not able to move forward because forward of me was a bridge, not able to go back because I've got a 60-foot long boat and you can't turn it in a canal unless you've got a winding hole. Winding hole, it's a winding hole. This terminology, this technology, this language was so new to me. So I was stuck there for a while, and lovely people on the other side of the canal, so helpful. Just not met them before, but getting to know them like that was how I ended up with a mooring here. So it absolutely brilliant, fantastic support, not only from people in the canal, but also from people from around about other networks that I belong to.
So, I mean, a lot of people say, "Oh, living in a tightly knit community and everything, everyone knows everyone else's business." I get the impression that's not quite like that.
That's right. I think it's a very respectful community. So although you know who everyone is, and you generally know their names and say hi and wave, and if ever you want a hand, you just go knock on somebody's boat, we're not living in each other's pockets. So it's also quite, you get the opportunity to have your own space, as well as having a community that you can call on if ever you want to. And so for example, every time that I've been out on the boat, I've asked my neighbour Morris, who popped in earlier, if he'd help me to collapse the wheelhouse, now that I've got the new hinges and everything, so that I could do that in a controlled fashion with some help. And each time he's found something else that he could fix or improve or whenever. And that was something that I didn't expect, really.
Okay. But the positives outweigh the negatives by a long way.
Oh, absolutely. By a long, long way. Yeah, by a long, long way. Yeah, and I love it. It's a fantastic opportunity. It's a fantastic lifestyle. Um, I've just been on a week's holiday and I took my home with me. I didn't travel very far, but I took my home with me. It was lovely.
Oh, it saves packing.
Sorry?
It saves packing.
Yes, that's right. It did save packing. And it meant that I had my own fridge and I had my own clothes and I had my own everything on my holidays. It was brilliant.
So you'd recommend this snail-like existence, would you?
I would recommend it if you're prepared to learn and if you're prepared to have a go at things. It's not a laid-back life unless you're good at regular maintenance. So yeah, there's quite a lot of upkeep because, as I say, I'm not on main sewerage. I'm fortunate here on this particular mooring that I've got a plug-in to my electric, but before I was on this mooring there was no mains electric, so I had to be home for 4 hours a day at that point to run my engine to create electric to run my fridge for the rest of the 24 hours of the day. So it takes some learning and it takes a little bit of persistence, and it takes the opportunity to just go for it, really. But yeah, if you've got that, then it's a fantastic life.
Yeah, and a lot of that is due to the fact that there are people, a support network in a way, that you can go to ask for various help as and when you need it.
That's it. That's it. If ever I've got a question, there's always someone, either along the mooring, along the canal. Before I was on a mooring, there would be people. So there was one particular day I remember where I'd been for a telephone conversation to get a signal. I'd been up to the next bridge, stood on the bridge to get a telephone signal, and I came back and my boat was adrift. I hadn't tied it up very carefully, so she was adrift in the middle of the canal. And knocking on someone's door, a complete and utter stranger, to say, "Can you please help me?" was easy, absolutely easy, because that's the way of life here on the canal. So yeah, it's a fantastic community. Brilliant.
Okay, that's great. And we're going to be talking a bit more later on about Hearts Pride and also you've also got a restaurant review for us. We're spoiled. We're dining out this week, aren't we?
Absolutely, absolutely. I'll tell you a bit more about that later.
Okay, that's great. Catherine, the Borough Council are reminding us to vote again in Watford.
Absolutely, yes. They're stating that so far only 13,500 of the 38,500 households in Watford have actually registered their details on their first send out of a letter. So they're at pains to point out that they would really like people to reply as soon as possible because they're actually going to have to reprint forms and letters at extra cost, of course, to remind people to actually register to vote. And of course, this is so that people can vote in the elections next year for the Borough Council elections and also the Herts Police and Crime Commissioner. So get on and vote, get on and register rather.
Yeah, I noticed from looking at Three Rivers and Hertsmere councils, they're also undergoing a similar process.
Yeah, yeah.
And today sees the start of the big screen.
Indeed, yes. Actually, I think it started yesterday. With Singing in the Rain was shown last night. Tonight we've got the Goonies, and in fact, in about an hour and a half an hour, we've got the Goonies, and at 8 o'clock this evening is Ghostbusters. Tomorrow there are 3 films: Shaun the Sheep, The People's Choice, which was Dirty Dancing that was chosen, and then Gravity later on. Sing Along Sunday is The Little Mermaid and Romeo and Juliet. And this is a big screen in the pond area of Watford High Street. Absolutely fantastic idea. It was very well attended last year. If you want to go and watch a film amongst friends, then go and watch a film amongst friends. It's free.
And if you fancy a coffee, we can both recommend a really good coffee shop, can't we, Neal?
Absolutely, yes. I think his name is Neal, isn't it? So, yeah. I'm sure you know the one.
Yeah. Right, okay, and slightly more serious stuff. Over the next 12 to 18 months, Canterbury Park's going to undergo a major upheaval with new buildings planned for the park, community buildings for the park. The paddling pool is going to be refurbished and rebuilt and redesigned. But before it all starts, you have an opportunity to consult with the council on its plans, and the first event is tomorrow, I gather.
It is, actually, surprisingly, really, because there's a really busy major event going on in the park tomorrow. However, there will be council officers by the pools in the park between 10 in the morning and 4 in the afternoon. So if you have any questions or queries about what's going to be happening in the park, what's going to be going on, they're going to be creating a walk linking the town centre to the countryside via the park's historical landscape. There's going to be educational resources and new catering, facilities for community groups and better toilets, changing rooms, and various other bits and pieces. If you have any queries at all, any questions about what's going on in terms of facilities, the timescale, go along and have a chat with one of the officers, and they will be happy to talk to you. The first date that they're doing this scheme is tomorrow. They're also going to be there on Thursday, September the 3rd, so if you can't get there tomorrow, or if you can't spot them in the crowds there tomorrow, then try again on Thursday, September the 3rd, again 10 till 4.
Okay, great. And talking of Canterbury Park, as you said earlier, there is a huge event tomorrow, and it's, I think, the third Herts Pride.
Absolutely, Herts Pride. I think we decided this was the third year they've had Herts Pride in Canterbury Park. It's basically a festival to celebrate music. There's food, there's stalls, there's health and well-being stands. This is run by, I'll just read a little bit from their website. Hertfordshire Pride Society is a group of friendly, passionate, creative volunteers from the local lesbian, gay men, bisexual and trans community and their straight allies. So it's a festival for everyone. Go along and join in the fun. I think we know a couple of people are going to be there in one of the tents, the health and wellbeing stands. I'm sure Tania will tell you about that in a moment. But there's going to be music galore. There's a cabaret tent. And there's something to enjoy throughout the whole of the afternoon and evening. Go down to Canterbury Park and enjoy a free festival.
Okay, great. And Tania, you're running a stall there tomorrow to do with Thrive.
That's right. Neal and I are actually running it together, and he's going to be talking to people about the humanists and that side of the stuff that he's doing at Reason Cafe, and I'm going to be talking about the Thrive program, helping anyone who needs any help, giving them a little bit, maybe a nudge in the right direction or a few ideas about what they could do to make their lives healthier, happier and more successful. We're there, we won't be selling anything, we'll be just giving free advice, free information, and helping people who might need it.
Okay, that sounds great. Catherine, have you got any news of Watford gigs coming up, like the Horns or anything?
Yes, the Horns. I've got a feeling they have music every week, actually. This Saturday they have Head playing. Head are lively, entertaining music encompassing the latest rock, indie and pop hits, guaranteed to get people moving and enjoying themselves. I think they've written their own review, and it's a great one. They're a tight and powerful unit able to work with venues, pubs, agencies and individuals. Be there from 9 o'clock and see for yourselves.
Okay, and you're going to be back a bit later on with more news from Three Rivers and Hartsmith.
Absolutely.
Okay, great. Now, Neal, sports news. It's been quite a busy week. You were so nearly right in predicting that Watford would win narrowly. They had a better of a scoreless draw. What was your view of the game?
Yeah, so it was a fantastic performance, and in all truth, Watford were all over West Brom, and it was very interesting to see an established Premiership side come to Watford and basically park the bus to try to get a draw, which they managed to do. So that's great that we're getting the respect, and I'm fully confident if we keep on playing like that, we're going to be fine, as predicted earlier in the season. This week's game is against Southampton on Sunday afternoon. It was moved to a Sunday because Southampton played last night in a European game. Hopefully that's taken a bit of energy out of their legs, and Watford can take advantage of that. I don't expect this week's game to be a 0-0 draw. I think there will be goals, and maybe from both sides, but fully expect Watford to win. And so I'll go on to some local news. Kings Langley. So after a slightly dodgy start to the season with a loss and a draw, they've won their last 2 games and they're up to 7th in the table. So it seems they found their feet in the division, and it's all going very well for them. Other local football, Oxyjet's FA Cup run was cut short at the first post, unfortunately, by a very controversial goal. They were 2-0 up, and the opposition's forward was on the floor injured, so the keeper put the ball out, as is customary, just so he could get some help. And they didn't throw the ball back. They threw it to the forward, and he slotted it into the back of the net. Very unsportsmanlike, and not the done thing at all. It caused a lot of bad feeling between the 2 clubs. But and unfortunately, that was Oxy's day ruined, because once they'd done that, their mental attitude, basically, they couldn't get it back together and they lost the game. So let's move on to cricket. Old Merchant Taylors eased their relegation worries this week with a win over British Airways, who are a fellow relegation candidates. So that was great news. They'll only need a few more results and they'll be safe. Radlett, the rampant Radlett, easy win yet again, consolidating their place at the top. And their second team, who were playing Leverstock Green this week, who are at the top of the table, they beat Leverstock Green in the top of the table clash. So now it's very close. Leverstock is still leading, but only by 3 points now. So that division could go either way. That's the cricket, local cricket. And just a little bit of athletics. Watford boy Cole Langford has had a meteoric rise this year, winning the British 800 metres and the European Junior 800 metres. So he's now representing Great Britain in the World Championship. So let's see if he can keep that going. If he got through to the final, that would be an amazing performance. So that's all the sport for me this week.
Okay, you did say about Kings Langley, didn't you?
About who?
Kings Langley.
Yeah, Kings Langley. They won twice this week, up to 7th in the table.
Okay, well, Martin will be happy then.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great. Okay. And Catherine, talking of sport, there's the Ricky Road Run coming up.
Yes, indeed. I didn't know anything about this one actually, but apparently it's an annual race that's run. I think the early bird registration is now ended, but you can still register, and it will cost you between £16 and £22, depending on whether you're affiliated or non-affiliated runner. But yeah, basically it's a 10-mile run. It looks like a circular route around Rickmansworth, supporting WaterAid, KitAid, and Watford MenCap. Yeah, it looks like a fabulous event, actually. So it's something we can look into. I'll post the details up online after this, and yeah, if you fancy supporting some fantastic charities and getting fit at the same time, then it's a great cause.
Good. And Three Rivers District Council have launched a community safety e-letter, or e-newsletter, I should say.
Yeah, I'm wondering where they've actually posted it out to, because I didn't get one. I'm kind of thinking that maybe they need to widen their e-newsletter circle. I get lots of things from them, and I'm registered with them, but I didn't get one. But it looks like a fantastic newsletter, actually. Again, I'll post the link up so that everybody can have a look at it. I mean, it's got everything from looking after your possessions, information about scams, keeping your house, your possessions safe, securing your vehicle, vans in particular, with tools and things in, dealing with antisocial behaviour, nuisance calls, what to do if you see somebody fly tipping, and various other bits and pieces as well. There's some really, really useful information on there, and useful links and contact numbers as well for finding out more. So yeah, I'll post the link up. It's something we could all benefit from.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's what I thought when I looked at it and saw it, and thought, oh, well, actually, it's not just really for people in Three Rivers. It also applies to people in Watford or Hertsmere equally well. I mean, it's all good, solid advice, isn't it?
Absolutely, yes. It's universal advice, really, isn't it?
Okay. And you've also got some diary, dates for your diary if you live in Three Rivers coming up. And I believe Crocsfest is just around the corner.
Indeed, yes, gosh. Crocsfest is the 5th of September, so only 3 weeks away, I suppose, something like that. I mean, if it's anything like last year, we went to the one last year, and it was absolutely fantastic. I can't remember all the bands that are coming up, but again, I'll post the link up there. They've already got, I don't know, a dozen or so bands listed on there, and they range from all different sorts of music. If you like folk music, indie music, rock, a bit of jazz, blues, and whatever. There's something for everyone, and it goes on all afternoon and finishes early evening. So it's very much a family fun event. We went last year, and people rolled up with their blankets, their picnic bags, and really sort of make a day of it. So that's 5th of September from 12 noon till 8 p.m. on the green in Croxley Green.
Okay, that sounds great. And also the details of a barn tour.
Yeah, again, one I've never heard of before. Tour of Croxley Great Barn on the 29th of August, or the 26th of September, or the 30th of October. Meeting at Joan of Arc School car park, Winsworth High Street. Starts 10:45, and then there's a 10 or 15 minute walk across the fields to the barn. And the tour itself lasts about an hour. It's a historic building, so it's fascinating actually. We may well go along and find out a little bit more about it. Again, I'll post a link up there for details, but the first day was 29th of August.
Okay, and thanks, Catherine. As usual, we've got a full week of Link for Growth events planned. Unfortunately, there is no coffee tomorrow morning because neither Chris, Alex, or I are available. I think it's the first time in about a year or so that we've not run the coffee event on Saturday morning in the market. But as usual, normal service is resumed on Monday with the Link for Coffee in Cafe Loco in Northwood near Moore Park Station. This is the place where you eat the carrot cake, not the lemon drizzle cake, because it's excellent, isn't it, Tania?
Absolutely. The carrot cake in Moore Park at Cafe Loco is absolutely delicious. Yes.
Yeah. So this is when your excuse will die to lemon drizzle and you have carrot cake instead.
I'm going to have to get to the kitchen at Croxley. You know, we keep talking about the lemon drizzle at the kitchen. Lemon drizzle is my favourite, so I'm going to have to get there.
Okay, well, we'll link you in as to host the next one or something.
Brilliant. I'll make sure of it.
Okay, and on Monday we've got Monday evening. That is, we've got Link for Coffee at Reason Cafe starting at 5:30. This is the evening one where if you want to pop in for a cup of coffee and find out about more about Link for Growth, and want to chat about and find out more about what we're doing and that sort of thing. You can call in on the way home. Reason Cafe is right up on top of the parade near where the big screen is on, so it should be, it's usually a good event. It should be a lot of fun. It often is because it's often quite a wide range of people who come and visit. Then on Tuesday we've got Link for Coffee at the Regis Building in Park Road, Rickmansworth, starting at 10. The Regis events are usually very well attended and are great networking opportunities with a good turnout. The Regis also support the Link for Growth Coffee in Watford on the first Wednesday of each month, which that will be happening week after next. But the last Tuesday of each month, they let us have one of their rooms for a couple of hours, again starting at 10 o'clock, and that's in Park Road in Rickmansworth. And then on Thursday we have Link for Drinks at the 3 Crowns in Bushy, starting at 6:30. So again, if you want to find out more about Link for Growth, want to meet new people, or find out about what Link for Growth is, make new business contacts, that sort of thing, then do come along and kind of do some community building and networking and everything in a very much social, relaxed atmosphere. And finally today, rather than one review, we have 2 restaurant reviews.
Well, who do you want first?
Start.
I'll go first. I went with a friend to the Three Compasses for lunch yesterday afternoon, which was absolutely wonderful. The Three Compasses is in Oldham. If you go down the A41 from Watford, turn left at the Toby Carvery, and then take the first right to Patchett's Green, you will come across the Three Compasses. And it's set in a wonderful bit of countryside, opposite some horses stables, so you really are in the heart of the country there. It's been refurbished recently. I think it's been open probably for about a year, something like that, maybe not quite that long. And it's owned by the same people that own the Horse and Chains and the Artichoke on Croxley Green. There were Feathers in Rickmansworth, and also Barbadega in Watford High Street. And they seem to have a really good ethos going throughout all their venues that actually makes all their venues ever so slightly different. And this particular pub, it's a country pub. Where we sat for our lunch was, it was by the patio doors, it was on some really beautifully upholstered chairs, and it was a bit like sitting in someone's living room. It was very comfortable, and you did sort of get this feeling that actually you were just having a chat in someone's lounge. Oh no, we'll have a bite to eat while we're here. So I started with the delightful crayfish cocktail, followed by kedgeree, and they were both beautifully prepared. They've got a whole range of different foods, things you wouldn't necessarily see on other menus. So there's a goat cheese souffle, which you don't see very often. There were some lovely specials. There was a sea bream and langoustine special being served yesterday as well. They have lots of different things going on during the week. They have Bring Your Own Monday, where you can take your own bottle of wine and they'll just charge you a small amount of money to cork it for you. They have quiz nights on Tuesday. They have Wine Down Wednesday, when there is £10 off your wine order with your meal, which is fantastic. Have to go then. And From the Grill Thursdays, where they specialise in their grilled dishes on special that aren't necessarily on the menu. So if you fancy something a little bit home cooked, using fresh local produce where they can, and enjoy a nice country meal, then go to the Three Compasses.
Okay, sounds delightful. Tania, does your restaurant compare?
You know what? I went to last Friday night. I went to one of the other restaurants in this chain that the lovely Catherine's just mentioned. I went to the Feathers in Ricky, and she's absolutely right. They're all slightly different and all rather lovely. But I've been out and about quite a lot this week because I was on holiday on my boat during the week. So I also went to an Italian in Rickmansworth, which was called Maurizio's, and that was amazing. Brilliant food, fantastic menu. Really unusual and interesting things that they were doing. The fantastic scallop starter, and they had lots of fish things on there. But the review that I'm sort of supposed to be doing for you now is for the Noor Mahal, which actually I went to on Wednesday evening. Now that's an Indian restaurant, a tandoori Indian restaurant in the high street of Abbots Langley. That also was lovely, absolutely nice, really friendly, helpful, lovely staff. And we started with the poppadoms, and I actually had a fish curry. I don't often have a fish curry, tilapia curry it was. I can't remember what sort of curry, but it was absolutely delightful. And of course, when you're in an Indian restaurant and your name's Tania, you have to have the sagaloo. Delicious. Sagaloo, absolutely fabulous. So yeah, I've been eating out a lot this week, and all of them have been really good.
Oh, well, that's really good to hear that there are good restaurants around, and it's not rare to find a good one.
That's right. I think over the last week I've eaten. We've had 2 takeaways. We've been to Cinnamon Square for breakfast. Oh, Cinnamon Square in Rickmansworth for breakfast, to die for. Absolutely lovely. The feathers, as I mentioned, and Noor Mahal, and
I like Cinnamon Square, but I have a slight problem with it.
yes.
Yeah, the roof's too low.
At 5'1.5", it doesn't bother me.
I'd be
But
okay.
yeah, that's it. Yeah, Diane, we should just take a foot off of your bottom. We'd best not take your head off, because then you wouldn't be able to speak on Leap for Growth TV. But you know, if we took a foot off of your feet, then you'd be all right.
Well, on that somewhat gruesome note, I think it's time to say cheerio. So, does anyone else have anything to say or to add?
I have one little thing to add. I heard from Watford Coliseum this week that their craft beer festival on the 5th of September has actually been cancelled. There was a problem with the people putting it on, so unfortunately they won't be able to do it now, but hopefully at some time in the future. But you can see Basil Brush there on Sunday. Exactly.
I'm not too sure if Basil Brush is adequate compensation.
It depends what you fancy, I suppose, doesn't it?
Well, exactly, each to their own. Anyway, on that fur is held note, we shall say cheerio.
Thanks very much. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Francis.